Since the involvement of NASCAR superstars Dale Earnhardt Jr., Kevin Harvick, Jeff Burton, and Justin Marks, the notoriety of the Cars Tour and its competitors has skyrocketed. The racing speaks for itself because it's true, grassroots, hard-nosed late model racing at its best. And we're here to bring that action to light. This is On Tour.
Welcome back to On Tour. My name is Buddy Pulley, co-host of the Big Motor Small Boy podcast, joined, of course, by my co-host on this show, Chuck Folsom, or as you guys know him, it's Chase. Pushed up that time. Chase is, where you at, dude? I mean, you can't drink. Why are you in Margaritaville? Like, what's going on?
I am sitting at a decorative tiki bar in North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. It's family vacation week. If you can see my glasses, there's a pool in front of me. So that's just how much I love you guys and how much I love the car store because I'm still making time to talk about it.
Hey, you're darn right. Yeah, we obviously saw a great race at Tri-County Speedway. Chuck was there. I unfortunately couldn't make it. Still kicking myself for that one. But we'll also talk about the ASA race that happened at Hickory because Chuck was also there covering that as well. So let's get into Tri-County. Butterbean obviously dominated. But let's take a look at the rest of the results from Tri-County.
Taking a look at the results from the Sound Gear 225 at Tri-County Speedway, it was Butterbean Queen fresh off his Truck Series debut, scoring his first Cars Tour win of the season. Chase Burrow oh so close to his first win, he'll finish second. Deke McCaskill finishes third. Andrew Grady with his first top five in the Cars Tour finishing fourth. Cade Brown would finish fifth. Bryce Applegate comes home sixth. Brent Crews in the KHI machine comes home seventh. Connor Jones eighth. Chad McCumbee comes home in ninth, and Minnie Tyrell rounds out your top 10. Dexter Canopy Jr. finishes 11th, Buddy Isles Jr. in 12th, Connor Zilich in 13th, Caden Honeycutt after a dust-up finishes 14th, Isabella Robusto in 15th, Jacob Hefner 16th, Brian Millington in 17th, Trent Lapsevich in 18th, and championship contenders Connor Hall, Bobby McCarty, and Carson Kvapil with Katie Hedinger in between finished 19th, 20th, 21st, and 22nd. Former Xfinity driver and current Xfinity owner Tommy Joe Martins finishes 23rd, Blaine Harrison 24th, Landon Huffman another rough night, he'll finish 25th, Cameron Bolin in 26th, Brandon Pierce in 27th, Ronnie Bassett Jr. had an early spin, he finishes 28th, Landon Lewis 29th, and Mitch Walker rounds out the field, finishing 30th.
Chuck, we saw there, Butterbean obviously won the race, and as I said before, he absolutely dominated this race. It was a rough night for anybody not named Butterbean. Waiting all 125 laps. It's the second race in a row at Tri-County. They've led all 25 laps, 250 consecutive. What do you got to say about Butterbean? The absolute dominance for him to return to victory.
Yeah, so he has figured out something about Tri-County because even if you go back to the old North State Nationals last August, he was well on his way to winning that race too and ran out of gas. So technically, Landon Huffman is the last person not named Brendan Queen to lead a lap at Tri-County. So Landon has something to hang his hat on right now. But they've got that place. Sure. They've got the place figured out in the 03 camp. I asked him, this isn't normally your style of racetrack. It's not a high tire abrasive track. And he just kind of pinpointed the fact that it races like a dirt track. It progresses and changes every single lap. They started the race on the top. They ran a good portion of the race on the bottom. He finished off the race on the top. First half of the race, he had him absolutely covered. We later found out that the reason he started backing up to him and Chase Burrow almost got him at the end was that he lost his brake pedal. So he went the final 60 laps with basically no brakes. So I don't know how he stopped at Victory Lane. I think he just coasted all the way down the front straightaway. He had a little something left. But he, just when we thought that team was struggling and hadn't found their footing, here we are. They've got a win. They're the points leader, and they're going to his home track. Just like that. He went from 5th to 1st in the points, and it happened overnight. So now the field is in trouble because he's going to Langley. He's got 3 track championships there, and he's looking the best he ever has.
Yeah, obviously you saw in the results what happened to the other 3. Butterbean's definitely got Big Mo on his side, obviously coming off the Truck Series race at North Wilkesboro. We'll talk a little bit about that later, but before we do that, let's hear from our winner, Butterbean.
So how much of a relief is it to finally get back in the win column? Well, just to know I'm not winless in 2024 is amazing, and it's not getting any easier. It's getting harder every week, so you enjoy these like it's the last one every time. Now, late in the race, you had a couple restarts there, and every restart, Chase Burrow was getting closer and closer. Take me through those restarts. What was going through your head knowing that he was there every single restart on the bottom? Yeah, I lost brake pedal like halfway through the race. I had no pedal, so the restarts were really rough on me. Chase did a great job. He was fast. I thought I wasn't going to be able to hold him off with my brake issue. Once I got clear of him, I could kind of go back in the corner up, but he made me work for it for the first couple of laps on a restart. You guys moved around from top to bottom all over the racetrack throughout the night. How much did the track progress and change as rubber got laid down on the surface? Yeah, I started out top was really good. Then in the race, the bottom was really good. So I, kind of like last time, I ended up at the bottom, but on restarts, I needed to be on the top. This is now 2 races in a row that you've led all 125 laps. And if we go back to the North State Nationals last year, you dominated that race at well. Not a track that you'd be typically known for being good at. So what have you figured out about this place that makes you so good here? Yeah, I think how you move around like a dirt car here is what helps. I mean, Chase Burrow races dirt cars too, and he runs second. So I think dirt racers really run good at this place because you got to run up top, then back to the bottom, and it's kind of like a Friday night at a dirt track.
Butterbean obviously had a big night out at Tri-County, but 2 other drivers that maybe had a career night, Chase Burrow and Andrew Grady. Chuck, what do you got to say about these two, man? A great showing for them.
Yeah, Andrew Grady picks up his first career Cars Tour top 5. He's been running the series full time since I believe 2021. So
wow.
He I talked to him post race, and he just said, we finally put a full weekend together from practice to qualifying to the race. They didn't get run over in the race. They didn't drop an engine like they have a couple times. They didn't get caught up in anybody else's mess. And then Chase Burrow, obviously, they scaled back their operation at the beginning of the year. They were running full time the past 2 years, had 1 top 5 to their name. They've only run 3 races this year, and they have 3 top 5s to their name. Finished, I believe, 5th at Southern National, 4th at Orange County, and now a 2nd here at Tri-County. So less has been more for that team for sure. It's a really long drive for them coming from the Northern Virginia area. So they've decided to go with quality starts this year, and it's paying off.
Oh, so close to your first career win. You kept the 0-3 honest at the end. What more did you need on those final restarts?
Man, we rolled in and we were really good rolling in. We just lacked a little off, up off. Just a little tight right in the center. But other than that, man, for the few years we've had in the Cars Tour to be able to run like this, it's an honor. And like I said, the Sellers guys, they're on a roll. Big thanks to Adam Medic with Medic Court, Tyler Safety Shoes, just everybody that's involved, man. It's a group effort, and I can't be more proud.
The past couple of years, you've run the full tour, and you had 1 top 5 to your name. You guys weren't usually at the front of the field. This year, you've scaled back. You've only run 3 races now, and you have 3 top 5s. Is this a case where less has been more for you guys and more quality starts rather than quantity?
Yeah, we sat down throughout the off season. We're like, man, it's a long ride to these tracks for us. We're from Richmond, Virginia, so it's a 5 to 6 hour drive here. So, just the time it takes to do it every week, we decided to step back and make sure when we show up to the racetrack, we got a race car. And I'd say we're succeeding so far.
We just talked about 2 guys that had a really good night. Now let's talk about 2 guys who had a really bad night. Connor Hall and Carson Kvapil. Hall gets into Kvapil, which in turn ruins his own night. Chuck, what did you see from that incident, and what does this mean?
Yeah, it was so funny because about 10 minutes prior, I had literally just put a video of them battling each other on Twitter. I was like, hey, keep an eye on these 2. They're running 7th and 8th, but your 2 title contenders.
Yep.
You assume coming into the night, McCarty was 2nd, Kvapil was 3rd by 1 point, but they were racing each other hard, and on a restart, Connor didn't mean to get into him. He had the front tires basically completely locked up, trying not to get into it, but he got him in the left rear, entering turn 3. It's really slow spin in front of the field for the 8. He didn't get hit by anybody, but goes to the back. In turn, that sends the 22 to the back because the series penalizes him for causing the incident. And then they're both back there, and they're both having bad points nights. Meanwhile, the guy that was sitting, I believe, 4th or 5th in the standings that was only 20 points or less back is out there dominating. So it was not an ideal situation for either one of them. Connor said afterwards that he felt sick about it. He went right over there and apologized. It's just a racing incident, but it could cost both of them in the long run, especially Carson.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I mean, you look at it too. I mean, we saw all night restarts meant a lot. And we'll talk a little bit about that here in a second. But we saw Chase Burrow almost do the same thing to Butterbean a couple of times, just because you got to get after it on these restarts at Tri-County. And I do applaud the series for holding Connor accountable, but I mean it was very clearly an accident there. You mentioned they both were at the back and watched Butterbean run away with it and ultimately take the points lead from them and Bobby McCarty, who also had a rough night there. He was back there, just couldn't figure it out. He mentioned something after the race to Matt Weaver about how just the tire, he's struggling to understand the tire. And I think it's been a concern all year long, but I think Tri-County especially just kind of exacerbated the problem and made it more obvious to the world.
Yeah, he pretty much told Matt post-race that the car never did the same thing 2 laps in a row. And that all comes back to, and he said it was specific to that set of tires that they put on for qualifying the race. And a lot of guys have had these problems with the tire. I mean, Butterbean was second fastest in practice at Orange County, and they put on new tires to go qualify and race, and they were arguably the slowest car on track. It has happened multiple times throughout the season, and like we kind of mentioned, it's causing a huge point shakeup. When that happened with the 03 team at Orange County, they were down in 7th in points, and everybody was like, man, what's wrong with them? Now they're the points leader, and Bobby McCarty's sitting 5th in points. He went from 2nd to 5th. And the points this year, I think it's, in a way, created more parity. Maybe not in the way that they want it to, but it has created more parity because if you look at the points, I got them in front of me. Chad McCumbie's sitting 9th in points, 28 points behind the points lead. That's one race.
Yeah.
That's one bad night for everybody else. And Chad McCumbie's the points leader.
We've seen him qualify up front before. I mean, Chad McCumbie, he could go out, get him a pole, and win a race, and he's right back in this. I mean, it's no one's tied.
I'm sorry, but yeah, and you got Connor Hall. He went from the points lead to 5 points back. Brent Crews is 3rd. He was a non-factor.
He's been up and down all year long.
Oh yeah, and then Minnie Tyrell, he's solid in 4th. Trayton Lapsevich, the rookie, he's sitting. He's actually tied with McCarty for 5th in points. Yeah. Carson Kvapil drops down to 8th in points after the
Lapsevich having a quiet year, man. I got to give a call to him. I mean, it's for obviously we have obviously we have a NASCAR podcast on this show, and a lot of guys, I'm sure a lot of people who are watching this also watch NASCAR, but equating to almost a kind of like the next gen situation in 2022 where you saw a lot of parity, but a lot of it was because of parts failures and things like that. Obviously, we're not having parts failures, but it's hard to get a hold of this tire and figure out what the guys need from it. And that's why you see no really rhyme or reason sometimes of why these guys are having rough days.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And one more shout out in the points. Ryan Millington sitting 7th in points, 22 points back. We haven't talked about Ryan Millington other than Ace all year long. But he's had a quiet, solid year, just like Lapsevich has, and he's in the title fight. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this season progresses and see which one of these guys gets a hold of the tire first and can go on a run.
Yeah, and well, up next is Langley. So Butterbean could pull away, or you never know really what could happen going into Virginia. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be right back to talk about the ASA race at Hickory. All right, Chuck, so you were at the ASA race at Hickory. It was a star-studded night. Saw a lot of NASCAR guys out there, and it didn't lack for action, and unfortunately it didn't lack for rain either, but we did get the race in. Tell the fans at home about Hickory because obviously Landon Huffman, that's his home track for years. He's got a large following. There's been some back and forth between him and the racetrack. Tell the fans what Hickory, portray that to them, and how they've made upgrades since maybe we last heard.
So for the past decade, really, Hickory has been stuck in this time capsule where they haven't upgraded anything.
Yeah.
They got a lot of pushback, especially over the past 12 months or so, about the fact that they're lagging behind the rest of the tracks in the region, not upgrading stuff. So they did in the offseason. They replaced all of the bleachers, the old wooden bleachers that were falling in turn 4 and at the top of the front straightaway. They replaced those with metal bleachers. So those are nice to sit on now. Redid all the bathrooms, so they're much more serviceable. And they repaved pit road, so it's not falling apart and dirt and whatnot. So I applaud the track for actually putting money into the facility to make it a little more welcoming. They also replaced the seats and all the press boxes and the I guess the media box. So, I mean, kudos to them for actually, spending the dollars to make the facility better. It needed it. Now, I'm not saying they can't improve more, because they definitely can, and I'm going to be one that still pushes for them to improve more.
Better.
Unfortunately, that racetrack's going to need to be repaved eventually. I am of the belief that it can wait a few more years, because it's got really good right now. It's got some great racing. We saw it all night long. But what we also had was rain, and it was really hard to dry that racetrack because it has bad weepers. There wasn't air tighten on hand, so never seen that at a short track race before.
Yeah,
so that's how we got green when we did. And a lot of that had to do with the NASCAR guys being in town. And
hell, that seems a little dangerous with an air tighten out there on a track that might be coming apart.
well, we're not at Orange County levels of coming apart.
Okay. There's no canyons. You can't fit a couple boots in there.
You can't fit a whole watermelon on the front stretch. But there was some weepers that took a while to dry.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it had to do with the NASCAR guys being there, and they had a hard deadline that night. They couldn't race Friday. So they got it in, and it was a great race. But there was a lot of aggression with people having to wait around for it.
Yeah. And I do want to say before we get into this next part, it is very important that a track like Hickory stays to at least, maybe not top notch, but at least to a higher level, because it's a famous racetrack. Ever since I was a little kid, obviously NASCAR legends were made there. You have Bobby Isaac, Ned Jarrett, Dale Jarrett. They ran bush races there back in the day. It's an important track to not only just the region, but NASCAR and short track racing as a whole. So it's very important that they stay up to date and stay with the times, because it is a popular track for sure. Obviously they hold the Cars Tour throwback race. That's a huge deal. So it's good to see them put some upgrading. You mentioned the aggressiveness, Brent Crews in particular, but a little out of character for him, in my opinion, huh?
Yeah, he got into it with Matt Craig on a restart. Craig kind of pinched him, cut him off out of 2, and Brent booted him into 3, moved him way up the racetrack, passed him off of 4. Now, I don't know if he didn't expect to get it back or not, but when they got back around to 3 again, Matt Craig gave him the double boot and sent him twice the distance into the corner, and got right back by him again. And they had some more hard racing on a restart a little later, where they traded some paint. It was just a side of Brent Crews we don't normally see. He felt like he had the best race car. He felt like he got used up. He said it over the radio, if he chops me like that again, I'll wreck him.
Yeah.
He ended up getting into it with Casey Roderick for second. Casey got to his inside off 2. Brent just, I would say, overstepped, probably tried too hard, and the 2 made contact, and he kind of spun himself, unfortunately, into the turn 2 wall, and it ended his night.
Yeah.
You got to remember he's 16. So these are lessons that you can only learn on the racetrack that he's actively learning. Yeah. And we saw a lot of that Thursday night.
I feel like it's two lessons to be learned here. It's one from the other competitors, like, hey kid, you throw a stone, I'm going to throw a brick, right? But it's also Brent Crews trying to say, hey, I'm not just the kid, I'm good. Like I've obviously got his first car store win, a couple weeks ago, and he's going to be a force to reckon with. So get used to it and show me some respect. So in a way I can understand, but you're on a big stage, especially with the eyes that were on you that night, and acting out might not be the best way to go about it.
Yeah.
Obviously, like I said, big stage, a lot of eyes, because of a lot of the NASCAR talent that was out there. We saw Chase Elliott was there, Josh Berry. Who else did we see out there? Hey,
Chase, Josh, Derek Kraus was in the field. That was, for the most part, who was able to end up staying in racing. But Chase had a really good run going. He was honest. He was actually going for the lead of the race and blew up in the process of going for the lead. So it was a night cut short for the 9 team. And then Josh Berry, he looked like he had the best car early on. He was going for third on Gio Ruggiero, and they made contact in turn 2. He took a pass to the grass, which is not something you want to do at Hickory because it's pretty far down there.
Yes.
And he had the right rear of his car knocked in. It upset the balance of his race car for quite a while, and he was never able to get back to the front. But both of them had strong showings. Derek Kraus had kind of a rough night. But in the end, it was neither of the NASCAR guys who stole the show.
Yeah. Who was it?
That would be Cole Butcher. And it was really odd. You know, the ASA points leader, we expected more out of him, or so we thought, for most of the race, because he ran 6th, 7th most of the night, slowly crept into the top 5, didn't really make any noise. And then all of a sudden, 40 laps to go, here he is. Surprise, he's the fastest car on the racetrack. In pure Wilson Motorsports fashion, he ends up going up there and stealing the win. His second win on the season in 3 races. But
yeah, I mean, Cole Butcher.
We're going to expect that.
I mean, Cole Butcher's a hell of a little race car driver, right? And you were able to talk to them or to Cole and Bubba Pollard after the race about, you know, especially a night like tonight, you know, in front of the entire sport, really, and how this helps them maybe break into the upper echelons of NASCAR.
You ran really well in your first Xfinity Series start with Junior Motorsports back at Richmond earlier this year. Has there been any talks of more Xfinity races this year?
No, Carson took my job from me. No, he does a good job. He that was just a one-time deal for me. I mean, it was kind of a lucky deal I got through Ream for Ream to give me the opportunity. So thank those guys. But yeah, we're kind of one and done, and I mean that's okay. I'm glad I got to do it one time and had a lot of fun. Had a good experience with the junior motorsports guys and had a good run too. So we had fun, but I don't see anything else happening.
Have there been any opportunities come up for you to make any higher up starts in maybe NASCAR or something?
Oh, there's been lots of opportunities. It's just unfortunate. It's just so expensive. So I love doing what I'm doing. I got a little baby on the way. So yeah, we're just gonna keep living life and just enjoy racing on the way.
So you heard the comments there from both Cole and Bubba. Unfortunately, in today's world, it takes a little more than talent to get into NASCAR, specifically, especially the Cup Series. And it is disappointing to see at this time neither one of those guys getting the opportunities that I would say they deserve. And I appreciate that the Cars Tour has done a good job of promoting their drivers enough to earn them those opportunities. You know, those guys race in ASA. It's a little different. Super late model world it's not right at home in the NASCAR Charlotte region, you know?
No, it's not.
It's harder for them to have the connections. And without a paycheck, you know, there's so many talented race car drivers out there that are, and this is not a knock on the guys that have the money, because the guys that have the money, a lot of them are good and they do deserve it. It doesn't mean that guys like this don't. And it's just unfortunate that is the business model that the sport has right now.
Yeah, I mean, we've heard I don't know where the quote or originated, but I mean, we've all heard the quote: "The best race car driver in the world is bagging groceries somewhere, or he's driving on some short track out in the middle of nowhere." Unfortunately, that's just the harsh reality of it. And guys like Bubba Pollard, who he got that shot in a JRM car, but in order for that to happen again, he's going to need a lot of money behind him. And it's something that we're hoping will change with this. We hope would change with the section car and with the charter agreements, cutting costs for the teams and giving them some equity. So hopefully the tides will turn and we can see more guys like Josh Berry get into the Cup Series. Now, much like Bubba Pollard got that shot at Richmond in the Xfinity car, Butterbean got a huge opportunity at North Wilkesboro Speedway and did a heck of a job with it. He ended up with a 4th place finish in the Tri-Con Truck Series event which ended up running on Saturday morning, thanks to good old Mother Nature. And obviously, Queen had a great run, not Butterbean, as Chuck reported. But Chuck, we were obviously at Wilkesboro. We saw there were more cheers for him than there was anybody else in the field, especially like even the winter court. It was really good to see the entire crowd was behind Butterbean at North Wilkesboro.
Yeah, that comes a lot from him winning in 2023 in the event there, getting out. He said he was going to Waffle House. Everybody in Wilkes County loves Waffle House, right?
Can confirm our co-host on the Big Murder Small Boy podcast that he bought a Butterbean Waffle House shirt.
There you go. It was just really cool to see, the fans at a NASCAR event rally behind the local short track guy. That doesn't happen every day. So that was fun to see. And speaking of Wilkesboro, the Cars Tour announced some news today, which will, I guess, be yesterday by the time you see this.
Yeah, they are rescheduling the Wilkesboro Cars Tour race, the Winter Road 125, to August 3rd. That is one of the Cup weekends off for the Olympic break. So that'll be good. It was, we were kind of wondering when they were going to do it, if they were going to push it back to, I heard someone say maybe even doubleheader at the end of the championship. But I like this move to kind of put it in a little bit of open spot and schedule, especially for a couple off weekends for NASCAR. I think that'll help the turnout for sure. So if you have a Winter World 125 ticket, make sure you save it. Make sure you come out on August 3rd to that one. And there is some interest, little winky face and a nod that came from one of the Car Store owners, Kevin Harvick, about the date change. And obviously Dale Jr. He says he wants to run Wilkesboro this year on the new pavement, so he doesn't have to be at New York that weekend. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, guys, I just say there's some rumblings going around, so everybody keep an eye on that entry list and some other announcements when and if they come out. So
yeah, for sure. Chuck, every week you got one for me. What's your question of the week for old buddy?
Oh, this is a good one. So the news, and it's actually a little bit older news, but we're actually through one of the races already. So there was an announcement that the Old North State Nationals is no longer in the Cars Tour, and it has been replaced with 3 races that have an increased payout to win of $10,000 each race for the late model stock cars and $5,000 for the pro late models. First of those was this past weekend at Tri-County. The second of those is the throwback race at Hickory, and the third of those is the penultimate race of the season when the series returns to Tri-County in October. So I guess the question is, buddy,
yes,
do you like this move, or do you wish the Old North State Nationals in the 30 grand race was still around to be run?
I think short term it's a loss. I think it's more money being spread throughout the season, which I appreciate, gives more guys opportunities to win more money, which keeps teams healthy, right? That's good. But I do think it's having a 30 grand race adds prestige, right? I think eventually we'll see that return. I think this is more of we're trying to spread the wealth. I'll put it like that. But yeah, I think it's part of a bigger plan.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. The question I was asked when I asked the question, they answered a question with a question and said, does the series really need it?
Yeah.
And that's a fair question to ask, because the series has grown to a point that I don't know that they actually need it. And instead they are spreading the wealth. Now, I also believe, kind of like you mentioned, this is a bridge to something else. And I think maybe even the North Wilkesboro date had to be rescheduled this year. That very well could be the race's new crown jewel event. It has all of the key ingredients to be one.
And maybe
So-
this leads to it not being a 30 grand race, but a 40 or 50 grand race. You know?
So.
That. Next up is Langley. Give the fans at home a little preview from Langley before we go up there.
Yeah, Hampton, Virginia, they're going to the beach, kind of like I am right now. I mean, we're looking at a two-man show, in my personal opinion. The two local guys that just so happen to be first and second in points, Brendan Butterbean Queen and Connor Hall. They both have track championships there. They traded the wins last year. Connor was able to conquer Butterbean in the Cars Tour race last year as the local. Now he is the series star, and Butterbean got him back in Hampton Heat. So I expect more of the same. I think it'll be one of those two, if not both, at the front. Connor's due for a win. Brendan's on a roll. So watch for the 03 and the 22 to be at the front early and often.
Yeah, Connor Hall is going to be a male mission too, for sure.
Frontstretch.com is where you'll find all your racing content in one place for free. They have it all from NASCAR to F1 to IndyCar, grassroots racing, and even iRacing. Front Stretch has you covered with daily news for every series, weekly columns, and even on-site coverage at every NASCAR and Cars Tour event. Head over to frontstretch.com, subscribe to their YouTube page, and give them a follow on X to get your daily fix on all things motorsports.
As always, huge thank you to frontstretch.com for everything they do for myself and the show. They allow me to go to the racetrack. Still not sure why. They allow
Not
us
really
to
sure
use
either.
They allow us to use the content that I gather at the racetrack for our show so that we can bring you guys more Car Store content. So if you want to check out more stuff from Front Stretch, be sure to go to frontstretch.com for all the interviews in this show and any future or previous shows. Go to frontstretch.com's YouTube channel or our new Front Stretch Grassroots YouTube channel where you can find all the Car Store content you need. And to everybody watching this, thank you for sticking through an extra long episode. We had 2 races to talk about this week. And because of that, we have a little surprise this week. Right, buddy?
Yeah, for sure. And thank you to Front Stretch again, as always, for sending you to the racetrack so we can get some really good pure sound. There won't be any tacked on to the end of this episode because we have so much. We were obviously at North Wilkesboro Speedway. Fortunately, we didn't. Obviously, there's no episodes for Wilkesboro. So we're going to, we got some stuff from Butterbean's truck start there. And then we also have some stuff from the ASA race at Hickory and Tri-County. So, dude, look out for an on-tour extra, something we're going to try out, and maybe you'll see more of in the future with some pure sound from those 3 races I just mentioned. But other than that, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you support your local short tracks as always, and we'll see you after Langley.